We're here.
Hello.
It's Thursday.
It is Thursday.
At lunchtime when we're back. You getting set up here?
I'm setting up so I can follow if we have any comments on my phone that we can answer here. So just give me 1 second as we're doing that. Let's see. Events. Yeah, we are live now. Watch live. Yeah, now I'd be here. Here we are. And I'm the one viewer. Awesome. Okay. Happy Thursday, everybody.
It's Friday Eve, almost.
Friday Eve. Free. Not good, eh? Free, not good.
Oh boy. Okay, so we've been coming here every Thursday at lunch to give you a little snippet of training every week. Right now we're kind of right in the middle of Mark's sales behaviors and prospecting training. And so today we're going to talk about sales behavior number 3.
Mm-hmm.
So right now...
It's my alarm. I have to get off my other call because we're having a Facebook Live. I set my alarm.
You must have snoozed
I snoozed it.
So first we talked about how to relationship build with your prospects, how to find out what they value, how to get them to answer the phone.
Return voicemails, answer emails.
Then we talked about once you're chatting with them, how do you really dig into what they value as a company, and then how do you differentiate yourself as a salesperson and what your product or service is.
Boomerang facts.
The boomerang facts. We talked about paraphrasing. And so now we're moving into behavior number 3, which is how do you gain commitment from them to allow you to put together a proposal for them.
Yeah, this is like the kind of, you've done a little listening and now you're ready to pitch them, right? But you need their undivided attention. And in the B2B world, that looks like going from a phone call to a sales meeting or potentially a video conference in today's world. But it's where you're going to get an opportunity to propose what you have based on what you've heard. In a B2C world, it's that time at the cash register when it's time to say, are we ready to check out? And review what's going in that transaction. And now in that value equation, we talked about quality and service over price. What you're really asking for is, can we talk about what I'm going to deliver in quality and service and start to ask for the price? Because eventually you do want to do business with this person. Cal Jalbert, I was not watching the Habs press conference. That's not why I was late, by the way. Marty St. Louis, pretty interesting. Anyways.
Okay, can we talk about one thing quickly?
Sure.
Just to clarify.
Should we review the last 2 steps quickly for anyone joining us today?
Sure.
And I won't go too deep, but for those of you who missed...
So can I ask my question
first? Sure.
So you're well versed in all this, obviously. It's your life's work, but some people might be entry-level salespeople, or they haven't done a lot of selling before, but they know they have to start or something like that. So you easily talk about B2B and B2C all the time, but can you maybe just clarify for people what that might actually mean? B2B is business to business, B2C is business to consumer.
Correct.
Right? So B2C would be an example where you just said, where if you're in like a retail store or something like that and you're directly talking with a customer and you're trying to walk them through the selling process on a particular product.
Car dealership, you name it. Anything that's face-to-face, live and in the moment where you might transact live at that moment. Yeah.
B2B would be if you're talking to another company about how some sort of product or service you have you can offer it to them and provide value to them in their business.
Correct. Business-to-business proposals are usually me selling you a service that's going to help your business serve their customers or succeed, so B2B to C, or something that's going to help them operate easier, again, in the B2B world.
So it's not as quick as a conversation about what you need and walking them to the checkout. It's more formalized process because you have to really lay out for them what's actually going to happen. That's why we're talking about a proposal.
Think about the first, when I talk about the summary of the first 2 steps, think of it this way. In the first step, we're connecting and researching, right? So we're learning about the customer, the prospect. We're finding out what's important to them by becoming students of their business online and finding out where we can help them. So they will actually pick up the phone or return your call. The second step now is diving a little deeper and qualifying and quantifying those needs. So those 1 or 2 facts that we taught you how to find out to get someone to pay attention, you're finding out a little bit more to see if your service can actually help them. Now where we're at in the B2B space is, now I want a sales meeting. Like we've talked on the phone, but now I want to get in front of you and I want to do a proposal. from some organizations that looks like a deck, taking them through the history of the company, what they do. Great organizations do a personalized deck, so it's not about my company, it's about your company and how mine fits in. But we're now at the point where we want to propose of having a meeting so we can get a proposal on the plate in the B2B world. In the B2C world, it's the time to start saying, it's your soft close, for lack of a better word, of let's get closer to the transaction now that I know what you want.
The B2B sales process would generally be lengthier, correct?
Yes. Yeah.
Unless B2C, it's a big ticket purchase like a car or a home or something. Sometimes you might have to finesse that for a while before someone commits.
Yeah, your traditional B2C transactions are quicker in nature, and your B2B are longer relationship and clarity builds before you actually sign a contract. And so now we're at the stage of, can I get you to sit down so I can propose our services to help you succeed?
But this training that you provide, it speaks to both, right? You've trained retail
Correct.
workers doing these kinds of transactions, and you've trained like full big sales teams that are going through in the B2B world. Yeah,
I customize it depending on the industry, and the 5 steps are actually the same. They just look different in those different industries. So yeah, to your point, I mean, I've done it with a vision therapy clinic chain, and I've done it with logistics companies, and I've done it with retailers like Nike Canada, etc. Like, so there's just a difference in how you approach it.
Right. Okay, just wanted to clarify that.
Well, I'm glad you did, because I think we're going to talk a lot about it today from the B2B perspective. Mm-hmm. And so that's kind of the examples I'm going to give.
And I think most, well, I shouldn't say that. I was going to say most people inquiring about this kind of training would be in that B2B world, but I do think there's some B2C salespeople who just are individual salespeople who want to up their game and would be interested too. But B2B makes a bit more sense in this capacity.
Yeah, and B2C could be like my past industry in home building. Mm-hmm. You're still sitting with the customer face to face, but you're still following the steps I follow. They just look different live than they do when you're researching someone online. So when someone walks in the door and connecting and researching, as example, what I trained in home building wasn't, you had no benefit of knowing who they were coming in the door and what they're interested in. Right. So the way you connect and the way you research was to ask questions to find out what was motivating them to buy a new home. And then you found out, okay, what's important in that? Oh, and here's our boomerang fact and how we do that. Okay, now, when would you like to come in to sit down and have an appointment to potentially write an agreement of purchase and sale? Mm-hmm. That is that stage in B2C. That is a separate step 4 when you're actually proposing, which I'm going to show you in our next Train Lead Grow, I'm assuming. But this is just getting them to commit to that appointment.
So today we're getting a commitment to actually review a proposal, and then next week it's like, okay, how do you close the sale?
Yeah.
Which I feel like for a lot of people is like the big ticket, right? They just want to know, okay, I think I can get everything in front of them in a great way that presents my offer, shows my value. How do I actually close the loop and get that sale? And that's the sweet spot.
Yeah, because there's a lot of organizations that will set up a predetermined pitch package for you, right? It's branded, it speaks to the history of the company, it speaks to the verticals and the services they provide, it speaks to the cost to each of those, it has options and menus for pricing, and it's slick and it's ready to go, but it's getting people to want to sit at the table and hear that. Having said that, next week's when I talk about closing, it's how do you position all of that in the context of what I've been talking about since week number 1? Quality and service over price. How do you determine value in the customer's eyes and how you deliver that? But that's next week.
Okay. Super.
Okay, so where do you want to start?
Well, how do I, especially if somebody has an existing service provider?
Yes.
Right? How do I get them to say, okay, fine, send me a proposal and let me know what you think?
Yeah, and the first thing I would say is try at all costs to avoid sending a proposal without being in front of the client or via video so you can walk them through it. But here's how you do that. This is the first step that I really focus on whenever I'm doing my corporate training that everyone needs to remember. The power of paraphrasing is your closing. Okay? Remember that. I feel like I've just rehearsed this big speech and takeaway quotes. The power of paraphrasing is your closing statement. The more you do that through the transaction, the easier it will be when it comes time to ask for the sale.
It also makes close the sale. When you paraphrase it back to them, it makes them realize Yeah, I did actually say that, or yeah, that is exactly what I need. Then you align your proposal with those statements.
Let's do a little role play. I'm going to put you on the spot. All you have to be is the customer. You don't even know this is coming. Okay, we're going to talk about your lovely blue sweater with hearts on it today.
It's almost Valentine's.
Right? I know. So let's say I had connected and done the research that, I was on your Instagram profile. I see you have a gingered life and you've modeled clothes for your friends and you follow collections at different retailers and you put recommendations out there. And I said, Jody, I love everything you're doing at a gingered life. Let's assume this was a B2B conversation. And I made that connection with you. And now we got to the second step where I asked questions like, why did you start that? And you're like, well, I really like to influence my friends with the coolest, latest fashion because I think it's all out there and there's so much to see and I'd love sharing that information with people. It's also good for me because I have a little referral network and I get a little compensation for that. Oh, okay, great, good. And how do you look at new connections? Well, collections. Well, I look at seasonal stuff and great. So all of that I've known from my first two steps. Mm-hmm. For the third step, I'd say, Jody, this is the reason I've called you. And if I heard you correct, you're always looking for the latest, greatest collection out there.
Do you have the greatest collection?
I do. But pretend I'm going to sell you this blue sweater. Do you? And I also heard that you like to share it with friends. And you're usually influenced by seasonal offerings. Did I hear that correct?
That is correct.
Okay, well, how much time do you have to talk today about the latest Valentine's Day offering that I can give you for you and your network to share with those individuals? How much time do you have to discuss?
10 minutes.
10 minutes. So now I've got the commitment of 10 minutes because I've paraphrased what I heard from her, why she does what she does. And now I'm not going to go into step 4 and talk about the quality and the service of the beautiful blue sweater with hearts that you've put on, but I'm going to get that opportunity to try and sell you that blue sweater by paraphrasing back everything you told me you like and need. So that's a silly example on the fly with you, but I'll use an example with someone trying to sell me on helping me coaching my online business as an example. Mm-hmm. Let's say they did the connection and research from week 1, and they learned that I'm a business coach. They learned that I have a book, and they learned that I have this new online training that I'm trying to get to more people. Let's assume they did all that, and when they called me, they didn't say, hey, we have a lead generation system, you should buy our program. They said, hey, Mark, we're on your website, and we see you have a business coaching organization, and that you've just moved to online training. What caused that? Now I'm interested. They've researched my business, right? So that's the connecting and research. And I said, well, I feel like I can reach more people online than just going through companies. That's going to take forever. Like I get 10 to 15 people at a time, but there's so many companies to get to with my training. Online, I can get to people faster. They can take it from the comfort of them. Okay, Mark, well, if I heard you correctly, your business is growing. You really believe in servant leadership. You're working really well with corporations today, but you're not reaching enough people. Did I hear that correct? Yeah, you did, Mark. Yeah, you did, John, who's ever calling for that company. Okay. And the other thing you're really focused on right now is really driving that online training because your corporate training is going well, right? Yeah. How much time do you have to talk? So I can talk to you about our lead generation system that has driven online businesses just like yours in the past. Now is the ask based on paraphrasing all the needs. So they're not pushing me to listen to their pitch. Mm-hmm. They're reinforcing that I need this stuff.
That you need it, yeah.
And you can't do that if everything in your sales pitch is advocacy driven. Advocacy is coming in step number 4. The next week, I'll teach you that, when I talk about the balance of inquiry versus advocacy, the first 2.5 sessions are about asking questions and taking good notes, because now we're going to start to advocate. If I heard you right, you said. If I heard you right, you said. If I heard you correctly, you need. Now I can tell you in that proposal how I'm going to solve what you've already asked me for. That art of paraphrasing, I'm going to throw a number out there. This is no study behind. 9 out of 10 sales professionals don't do it. Mm-hmm. First of all, 9.5 out of 10 sales professionals don't do the research of the client before they pick up the phone. They don't ask the open-ended questions. They don't share the boomerang fact of where they're different. And then when it comes time to start to ask to put a proposal in place, they don't paraphrase everything they've heard so the client goes, oh, this proposal is going to be about me, not you selling me your stuff. So paraphrasing, number 1, biggest thing you want to get that commitment for the meeting. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. Okay, so I'm going to see if there's any comments. Hi, Cindy. Salut, Cal. Hi, Mike. once you've gotten that art of paraphrasing, and it needs to go into all 5 steps that I've been sharing in these sessions, you now need to talk about the financial commitment a little bit, right? And you're not giving price, but you also want to make sure they're serious at this point. We've done a lot of open-ended questions, and we've done now a lot of paraphrasing, and paraphrasing you should use throughout all of your dialogue, because again, it reinforces the customer's need. They're bought in. You're going to solve that need in step number 4. But you got to get the commitment to the financial investment. So what that would look like normally is, okay, so if I heard you correctly, Jody, you're always looking for the latest fashion. You're always looking at bringing that to your membership, at your followers at A Gingered Life. Sorry, my apologies, your membership. And I've got the latest Valentine's collection for you because you were looking at seasonal. And what does that look like to talk about that this week? And by the way, what's your budget? What range are we looking at? What do you normally look at for pieces on your collection? Mm-hmm. And so what I don't want to do is set up this meeting and you are nowhere close to being able to entertain my product.
Right.
Now, if I've paraphrased, I've set up the meeting, I have you needing everything that I'm about to propose to you because you asked for it and you're in budget range, now I got a high level of success when we actually have that meeting.
What about if you're talking like B2B to someone who has an existing service provider?
Yeah.
Is it
Excuse me.
Is it okay to say, like, tell me what your current budget is? What are you paying currently for this service? Or is that like pushing too hard?
Well, no, it's not that. That would be probably in step 4 when we're actually going to propose the quality and service, like where we get to actually finding a number. The way you'd want to position it is not what's your current budget. What budget are you dealing with to consider these services? Mm-hmm. Right? Because let's give you an example. The car dealership, right? So let's go B2C instead of B2B, and people will get the application to B2B. I come in looking for a car. You and I talk, and I say, oh, Jody, what brings you in? Oh, I need a new vehicle. We've just moved to Wasaga Beach with the family, and I've always had a minivan, but I'm looking at a car for myself. Oh, that's great. And what type of cars do you like now that you get to buy for yourself? Oh, I really like just like a nice 4-door sedan. And okay, and where are you going to go with that? Oh, just in the local area. Okay, and will the kids be in the car at all? No, it's predominantly going to be me. We're going to leave the SUV for the kids. Okay, so if I heard you right, you're in the market for a new vehicle.
You buying me a car?
I'm not buying you a car. You're in the market for a new vehicle. It's for you to drive. You'd like a 4-door sedan. And the kids won't be in that often. They're going to stay in the SUV, so we don't have to worry about too many of the kids' needs in the car. Did I hear all that correct? And you'd say yes. Okay. And what kind of budget are you looking at? What's your range? If I don't ask you that, and my idea of a 4-door sedan is like the Sport SE, fully loaded, leather, whatever that looks like, and you're in a BMW dealership, mm-hmm. and your budget's 20 grand, we got a big problem.
See, but I feel like if someone asks me a range and I give them a range, they're going to pitch me on the highest end of the range.
But that's going to come into step number 4.
So
you're getting ahead.
Should I undervalue my actual range because they're going to pitch me high?
No, you shouldn't. As a consumer, you mean?
Yeah.
Oh no, the consumer is going to have a B2B company is going to have a range. When you're doing B2B, so if you're trying to sell logistics services, as an example, they got a rate per mile they're willing to. They got a rate per mile they're willing to share, especially if they have an existing provider. What you're going to have to do in step number 4 is really position your value to ask for more if you can't sell at that price, mm-hmm. or define that you give them more if you can sell at the same price to steal the business, or if you're under them, figure out where you can add more value to get to that budget on add-on services. And so it's going to change your strategy in step 4 when you're actually putting the deal together and saying this is how much it will cost you for this, and here's what you get for all of this. The organizations in the B2B world have a budget. Like if you go and you say like, well, we need printing for 10 locations across Canada, that marketing manager, that organization, they already have their constraints. They know what they're going to pay for black and white, color, large format, business cards, etc. You just want to make sure you're in that range. And the reason I ask that, and I suggest that you ask it, is it's just that reality check because every customer is different. Jody may be in that BMW dealership thinking she's going to get a sedan for $25,000 because she's never shopped for a BMW before. She wouldn't, but some people are, and you just want to get that last check before you go to proposal so you know what you're dealing with when it comes time to put this all together and pitch and ask for the close. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so paraphrasing all the way through the process, get the customer repeating back that you've heard them correctly on what they want. Much easier to sell when they said that's what they need in the context of their business. Get a financial range before the meeting. Hey, I just want to make sure I come to this meeting and have full value. You know, what's your budget range for this service? What are you currently looking at? High end, low end. Don't say what are you currently paying. That's the only thing that will limit you, because then that shuts the conversation down. I lost my train of thought. That's why I was looking at my notes. So once you've paraphrased, once you've got a budget range, now you got to ask for the meeting.
Mm-hmm.
How do you do that?
So it's not. It's not. Can I come back to you with a proposal? It's like you want to get them face to face in front of you to discuss.
The only time I would send a client a proposal without having the opportunity to walk them through it on a video meeting or see them face to face is our video meetings before. Like, so it wasn't a phone call. It was like, okay, tell me, oh yeah, I got an example. Let me show you. Okay, great. And if I heard you right, you want that. Okay, have you considered? And I've got all the details of the proposal. And the customer is adamant that I don't want to see you, then I won't lose the opportunity altogether. Mm-hmm. But the reality is, if you're really going to demonstrate your quality, service, and price, you need to see the eyes of the customer and how they're reacting to it as you propose. Right. So if I'm saying, hey, Jody, you know what? I've got the latest, greatest blue sweater with blue hearts to share with your followers on a gingered life, and you go, and I'm like, ooh, okay. Now there's an objection, and I can try and deal with it because I saw your your non-verbal reaction. And I'm going to go, Joe, it's like, what's going on with the blue sweater? I didn't notice a positive reaction. And you then may say, well, I know what that's going to cost. Well, hold on a second. So if I hear you correctly, you're worried about price. Okay, we'll get there. Let's talk about the quality of the sweater.
I already have a blue sweater with blue hearts.
Or maybe that's it. Oh, you know what? So if I hear you correctly, you've got a blue sweater with blue hearts. Okay, let me tell you where my blue sweater with blue hearts is different.
Right.
That would
That's
make you
the differentiation factor.
I can't sell you that if I'm not face to face. And so I need you in front of me, and this will all make more sense if everybody comes to next week's call. But when we go through the actual presentation of the offer after doing these first 3 steps, we hit on all those factors we heard the client needs in the context of their business. And now I'm watching your reaction, especially when I get to the point. So you said you needed great technology to track your shipment. You also said you needed green-friendly trucks on the road, and no one could provide that, and you love that about us. You also needed to know from a customer service perspective, if you had any questions, someone was available 24/7. And I could go on with all the things that will come out of the conversation. And then I would say, in step number 4, okay, here's our software technology. It's going to have your truck within 8 meters at all time, and here's how you access it. By the way, here's the 50 trucks we have on the road that are Tesla that you're going to have access to, and here's how you order those for your shipments. Oh, and by the way, last step that I just mentioned that was relative to distance. Oh, customer service. Here's our customer contact center 24/7 that's managed by a live human being, and here's my office number. And I would put all that in, those are only 3, but there'd be a bunch, in the quality service, paraphrasing and saying, so for all of those things that you have agreed would be differentiators for you and things you really needed, my cost per mile is $1.39. How do you feel? Mm-hmm. Now I'm going to watch. So now I've identified all the quality service, and I'm going to see you go, or I don't know. But if that proposal's in an email, the conversation's shut down.
Right. If you just send that proposal straight through and they've read it on their own, they're going, oh, no, doesn't work for me.
And maybe the $1.39, when you see in the proposal, you go, oh, no, that ain't worth it. And I have no chance to talk to you and reiterate the quality and service that you're getting. Right. Or the $1.39 is like, if they were $1.38, I would have done the business. Yeah. And now I've lost the business for $0.01 a mile. But when we're face to face and we go through all these things and I ask open-ended questions, how do you feel about that? Oh, I love everything about it, Mark, but I don't know if I'm going to be able to get $1.39.
And that's where your last step comes in, because it gives you the chance to overcome any objections while they're sitting there right with you. Now, it puts you on the spot a little more, like you have to be ready to have those.
We train people on that. It's step 5.
And have an answer for those objections, but it also, that's what's going to develop the trust, because they see that you have a rebuttal for anything they could have an issue with.
Yeah, and it's not so much, and in fairness to the client, it's not about not taking no for an answer.
No.
When I train overcoming objections, different from some other trainings where it's like you never take no for an answer and you have to overcome all objections. My step is attempt to overcome objections. Mm-hmm. And I give you 4 steps on how to do that. Ask open-ended questions to confirm it. Confirm it. Confirm that we can move forward if we overcome the objection. Propose the way to overcome the objection and move forward with the sale. If the objection is $1.39, I need $1.21, mm-hmm. and I propose, okay, well, if I heard you right, if I can get you down to $1.21 per mile, you'd move forward with the proposal? Yeah, I would, but that's the only way. Okay, let me come back to you. I'm going to talk to my manager. Come back to the manager. The manager says, are you nuts? Those are going to kill our margins. Mm-hmm. You can't go lower than $1.35. I'm going to come back to the client, and maybe I'll go at $1.35, and they're still going to say no because it was $1.21. Then I've lost the sale.
Right.
But I'm going to have the opportunity to say, well, hold on, look at everything you're getting for $1.39 for us, and truly validate that price is the objection.
It's not going to be a fit every single time.
No.
Right? And it's okay if it's not a fit every time, but you have to have the opportunity to try and make it.
There are tons of partners that have approached me about our business mm-hmm. to help us grow it, and some of them are a fit for who we are right now in our infancy, and some will be a fit for us when we're big and we're massive and we have a different budget. It's just timing, and sometimes it's timing in the service. You know what I need is, okay, you do like video production. I need that right now because my videos are me holding an iPhone, so that's a fit, and the price is right. But you do, the next person who calls to try and help us does a lead generation system at X per month.
We're not there yet.
We're not there yet. Yeah. We're getting our own corporate business through our existing network and referrals. Maybe one day when we've got 10 coaches and business development associates, we'll do that. Mm-hmm. But it's just not a fit, and you have to approach your sale the same way. But here's the beauty. If you follow all the steps I've been teaching you in these last 3 weeks, and I teach in the training, you have all these exit points. Right? When you're asking open-ended questions, and I say, Jody, tell me about how you manage your apparel collection. Oh, I have a supplier agreement with Old Navy, and I only sell Old Navy product. Okay, so if I hear you correctly, you will only sell Old Navy product? Have you considered this label? No, I can't. I'm contractually. Okay. Exit ramp, on to the next prospect. Or you keep driving down the highway because the open-ended questions continue to align with you and your client. If you keep doing that, every step gets easier through the transaction. So when you connect and research, that's the hardest part, is to get someone to pick up the phone and return your voicemail. When we taught those behaviors, now step 2 gets easier to have the dialogue. Mm-hmm. Because I've already stood out to you, and I already know a little bit about you, and I've already demonstrated on 2 or 3 points that I may be able to help your business. Now you want to learn more from me. As I paraphrase and validate what you're asking for and then demonstrate and advocate what I can do, it starts to get easier to say, okay, now let's have a proposal. When I put the proposal in place and I go through all the quality service and the boomerang facts and I say, and this is what you're going to get for the dollar, it's easier to close the transaction.
Right.
It's easier to overcome objections. It's easier to ask for a resale. All these behaviors cascade.
Super.
1231.
So we've been able to sit with our prospect. We've been able to share our proposal.
Not yet. We haven't shared our proposal. We have commitment to share the proposal. That's where we're at. Next week, I'm going to teach you how to strategize, how to put together a proper proposal to win the work.
I thought next week is close the sale.
That is closing the sale.
But we're just doing the proposal.
We're going to close
the same step.
Yes, it is. We're going to close the sale at the proposal. I got to get you into the sales world. We are going to teach you now how to take all those behaviors together next week and put it down on paper that's going to make your customer go, yeah, you're my choice, assuming you have the budget for it. And then in the last week, we're going to teach overcoming objections, because those can show up at any point during the whole process. And how
you give away all your secrets.
No, and I mean, I'm talking for a half an hour and giving 2 or 3 examples. My training's a little longer than that. But the beauty is you'll get it. If you take the training, you'll see all the steps and you'll see it go like, wow, I've never done step 1. I've never actually researched the client before picking up the phone. The business or the individual, and when I found 1 or 2 to 3 facts of each, people want to talk to me a little longer. or they're returning my voicemail. Mm-hmm. And when we have that dialogue and it's about their business as the conversation, not my service, they seem to want to talk longer. And now when I advocate a little bit about how I can help, they want to have the proposal. Mm-hmm. Oh, and now when I do the proposal and I put it in the context of everything we've talked about and I demonstrate how we can deliver on it and be a little different, they're closing more often. And now when an objection runs on the table, I don't run for the hills, and I ask them what the objection is and I get their commitment. If I can solve it, they'll move forward. It's easier to go and save the sale. All of those things are simple behaviors. Now what happens, sorry, and I'm going to shut up because we're out of time, I think. When I talk about it for a half an hour, and in this one that I shared today, it's the third behavior, and it's a 44-minute video in the training that comes with the cheat sheet form. It doesn't take 44 minutes to do with a prospect. Like, this is a 30 to a minute and a half piece of your conversation. Hey, so if I heard you correctly, X, Y, and Z, this is why I think I can help with that. How much time do you have to talk about that and when? And what budget range are we dealing with? That's how quick the behavior I'm training happens, but the behavior has to be there. It has to be attached to number 2, it has to be attached to number 1. Either I've just been lucky in every organization that I've sold or led sales teams in, but when we train this behavior, we get more responses from customers and we break sales records. Sales records. Woo!
On that note, happy Valentine's Day.
Happy Valentine's Day. Yeah, we break sales records, but again, it's the combination of those behaviors.
Cool. Okay, so next week's a big one. We probably need longer than half an hour next week. That's a lot to fit in.
Well, I'm not going to train the whole thing. I'm not allowed to give it away, you told me. Probably wouldn't make sense for a business. That's right. Yeah.
Okay, thanks for tuning in. Have a great weekend after tomorrow. And yeah, next week we'll talk about the proposal and how to close it.
Cheers, everybody.
Bye.